Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Warframe in a Nutshell. This morning I'm working on Ember. Quick showcase here just to be on the safe side that you guys can see that I have no mods on either of the weapons or, well, the one weapon and the one frame I'm running with, which is Ember Prime, of course, and Ignis Wraith. Now, I know a lot of you are like, well, Ember Prime is stronger. Once again, the Prime variants of most things and even the Wraith variants of most things are just slightly better in a few circumstances. So we'll be doing our normal 30 enemies, well, 6 enemies at level 30 to kind of showcase what the Warframe and the weapon can do. So starting out with the weapon itself, the Ignis, of course, is a flamethrower, so you can see it's going to burn through these enemies. And it's a beam weapon, so it actually affects all enemies in a path, as you can see. Now, as you can see, it took a little bit of burning to actually kill the enemies at level 30, but it's still possible to do it even without mods. That's due to the high status chance and somewhat high critical chance that it actually has. This is a weapon that can be modded for both status and for crit, though most people just run it for the status chance, since that's primarily what it's good for. Now, we'll resimulate these enemies and we'll show you the abilities of the Warframe. Now, the Warframe's abilities, Ember is pretty much your standard typical fire mage. Her first ability, which we'll showcase here, is called Fireball. You charge it up and you release this ridiculously big fireball, or small fireball. So regular burst, the tap, that's what it can do. Pretty decent amount of damage, actually. Now if I charge and hold this, it just immolated that one target with a single shot. Now these targets may die. No, it's not that they're going to. As you can see, it's a pretty big difference between that, much smaller fireball, and that, much bigger fireball. So we'll just finish off these enemies here. Alright, so we'll head back into our staging ground, pick up some energy, make sure we have full, resimulate. Now, Ember actually is one of the few frames that has all damaging abilities, which makes her kind of fun. So her second ability, which you may have seen, is Accelerant. It doesn't actually deal damage itself, but it multiplies the amount of damage that can be dealt. So for example, Accelerant stuns the enemies, and as you can see, the amount of fire damage this now does, even just a flamethrower actually deals quite a bit more. That applies for all fire damage. Even fire damage you modify onto weapons will actually be affected by this. To kind of showcase it again here, in a different fashion, Accelerant. As you can see, they just burn to death. Accelerant lasts a good period of time. Its stun does not, but its damage augmentation does. So people will often run Ember. Her Accelerant kind of is her break moment. It's something that allows her to jump into a group of enemies and stun them so she doesn't take any damage, as well as amplifying the damage she's about to deal. Now her third ability is Fire Blast. She slams the ground and creates a wave of plasma that incinerates nearby enemies and performs a persistent fire ring. It also, as you can see, adds fire damage to weapons by firing them through the ring. So where Volt adds electrical damage, she adds fire damage. As you can see, most of them just kind of fell off the edge. This actually gets increased amount of damage. It's a pretty strong ability, combined with you jump into a group of enemies and you stun them and then you fire blast them. You can do quite a bit. Now her last ability, her ultimate ability, as some people like to refer to, is one of her bread and butter skills. It's called World on Fire. So basically, it blasts foes with a burst of flame, which you'll see, and then just a barrage of fireballs over time. But it also increases the amount of energy she consumes. So if I run in here, As you can see, there's a percentage meter down by my fire, and as it keeps going up, it's increasing the amount of energy it's draining per second, and also increasing the amount of damage it's dealing too at the same time. This is the benefit and disadvantage of Ember, as she becomes extremely power hungry, as you can see here. So as you can see, Ember has a lot of really cool, interesting mechanics, but one of her biggest problems is her energy consumption. Now, as I've shown with other frames, building them a specific way, either for maximum power, maximum range, is always beneficial. But for Ember, she's kind of almost requiring to be a little bit balanced, because channeled abilities, they get reduced by the power efficiency and power duration. So you have to focus on both of those. You want her to have more range so she can affect more enemies, so you want more power strength because you can deal more damage. But in the end, she kind of has to be built a little bit balanced. So we'll go ahead here and we'll go through and we'll go a quick build, an economy build for Ember. Now, as you can see, the Ember Prime comes with a V polarity, so we want to go for something, the V polarity rifle amp or something like that, just so we have that extra amount of power. Now, if you don't have things like rifle amp or steel charge or Deadeye or, well, any of the other V polarity ones, you would want to aim for something like Energy Siphon that gives her a little bit of energy regeneration when she's not using her fourth ability. And then, of course, in the Madarai, we can look at things like, most likely not Intensify that you'd want to run on her, maybe even Continuity if you have it, just to give her that extra duration. In the Vizarin, you'd want to look at something that gives her a little bit of vitality. As you can see, Ember Prime has 125 armor, but regular Ember has like 30 or 60, so she has a much higher armor base, which makes things like Gladiator Aegeus or even Steel Fiber work really well on her, actually. But if you have something like Overextended, that might be something you want to run instead, just to have that extra bit of reach. Or probably more accurately, you'd want to do something like Augur Accord for the energy, or Gladiator Resolve for the health, or just go for Prime Vigor. Well, not Prime Vigor, but regular Vigor, since you might actually have regular Vigor. If you don't, as I always suggest to people, focus on health first, so give her vitality. In the Naramon tree, or your dash polarity, you'd want to run her with Flow if you have it. And then you'd also want to get, once again, your Stretch and your Reach, and if you have it, Streamline. So that kind of makes you kind of a semi-balanced set and gives you a little bit higher range than normal. Now, once again, if you have Augur Message, throw on Augur Message. Once again, it's going to reduce the amount of your duration. Otherwise, you can also throw on Augur Secrets for a little bit extra strength. Or you can do, because you're basically just swapping back and forth at that point, 54%, 154%. If you have something that gives you a bit more range, like, for example, you're at Lua already and you want to do something with a bit more range, running Cunning Drift might be a good idea. But really, you want to keep that balance set up. So as an economy build, this is kind of what you're looking at. She's actually one of the few frames that actually, like I said, benefits greatly from having that kind of balanced ability set. So we'll go ahead and showcase this off and just see how fast we can burn through these level 30s. First with her first ability, which, yes, you can cast in air. Wow, he did not die. So, combination of second ability and first ability? Well, apparently that was everything dead. So we'll look at the stats she actually gets now from her modification. So without stats, it's 400, 150, it goes up to 520, about 195. The more range is going to give you more area damage on your fireball as you increase it, which kind of makes sense. And then Accelerant, of course, goes from 20 meters to 35, a duration of 30 seconds to 46, and a damage multiplier of 2.5 to 3.25, which is, that's a pretty damn big damage multiplier. Her Fire Blast goes up by 60 damage, and about about 70 damage, it looks like, per second. The duration goes up by 10 seconds. Her World on Fire goes up by almost twice its normal radius. The damage goes up by 120, the status chance up by 10%, and the energy per second goes down to 1.36. Nope, don't go off the edge. So, as you can see, a fairly viable build, this economy build for her. Now, once again, if you wanted to be truly powerful with Ember, you have to run her final ability. Now, the interesting thing is, this is not, there it goes. Look at that. Now, some of you might go, okay, so hold up. How much power is Ember going to have against someone like a level 100? Because most people, for most people, level 100 is kind of like the highest you'll ever see enemies that you'll actually have to fight. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. We'll start up World on Fire. We'll jump out here. Now I'm going to show you how kind of pathetic Ember actually deals here. No matter how much I burn people, no matter how high my energy and my damage per second becomes, Ember does not do too terribly well against level 100s, especially armored level 100s, which is going to consume the most amount of damage from someone like Ember. So in a nutshell, Ember is not that great against enemies who are above level 60 to 50. She starts to fall off around that time period, but she has ways of increasing her usability. And those increasements are, of course, augments. Augments like Flash Accelerant, which gives casting speed and heat damage to allies within range, which is super great. Fireball Frenzy, which gives an additional 100% heat damage on their attack for 40 seconds. So combining these two actually is super beneficial. She acts as a semi-support now. Not only does she deal a little bit of damage, she can, I believe she has another modification that actually gives her fear mechanic, which is kind of cool. We'll go ahead and take a look at her augments in the augment set. I think the best place to find that kind of stuff is Steel Meridian, if I'm correct. So in Steel Meridian, we'll scroll down here.
Alright, what can we help you with?
Where would it be? Oh, here it is. So Fireball Frenzy we just saw, Flash Accelerant we already saw, Firefight, or Fright, which damage done by the fire blast is a 100% chance to cause enemies to panic. So it's a great way of scaring enemies away from her. And of course, Firequake, which gives people knockdown. So basically, she becomes kind of goes from being a damage dealer to the later game becoming more of a support, using her modifiers to give her either fear mechanics or knockdown, or just giving her allies incredible more speed and heat damage. As a fun fact, this Flash Accelerant actually works on Ember herself. So when she casts it, she gains the benefits of the extra 50% heat damage and also gains the benefits of the 50% cast speed, which can be really life-saving. Some frames require natural talent, which gives them increased cast speed to make their abilities work better. With Flash Accelerant, people don't need to run that as often, so if you're building a team together, you can actually change your mod setup based on your composition. So that's kind of Ember in a nutshell. Now I know I didn't do the Ignis mod. I didn't do the Ignis build by itself, but that's for a different time. So Ember comes from a particular boss, as many people probably know him as the Fire Dude. So on Thetheus, General Sardis Rook drops Ember parts. Of course, the systems tend to be the rarest. Head, kind of rare. Chassis, the most common. Most people pick up like 100 chassis. They pick up one neurotopics and maybe one systems. And then beyond that, as with all the basic frames, you just have to find her in the marketplace and buy her blueprint. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please leave a comment in the comment section, like or subscribe. If you haven't, if there's something I missed, if you don't like very much, once again, leave a comment in the comment section and let me know why you dislike what I do. So until then, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, thank you so much for watching.